Welcome, everyone, to the Two Off the Tee show on Fantasy Six Pack. We are Fantasy Six Pack's golf and DFS gambling show. I am your host, Keith Flemming. With me, as always, my gambling guru at Actively Lazy 85 on Twitter, my man, Allen. What is going on, Allen?
Just typical backdoor covering over here, man. Much happier than the last week. Last week I came on the show, I was pretty upset.
We had a little bit of a backdoor cover this last week in golf, but before we get into that, and today we will be previewing the Players Championship, aka the fifth major on the PGA Tour. But I do want to remind everyone that you can become an all access member, of Fantasy Six Pack by going to fantasysixpack.net/plans. You get access to the amazing Discord. That's all of the experts from Fantasy Six Pack. You can ask them questions about particular sports, access to award-winning rankings, tools, and more. You can join today, and I highly recommend you doing that using the promo code F6PMLB and get an additional 15% off. Before we get into the players, I do want to quickly recap last week. Kurt Kitayama, man, what a win, Allen. Continuing the trend of guys, and I've said this for a long time, it's important when you keep winning. I know that he had not won on the PGA Tour before Sunday, but he basically, as you pointed out to me, won everywhere else. On the DP World Tour, he won on the Asian Tour, he had won everywhere. So good for him, particularly after making a triple bogey on 9, where he hit one of the worst drives I've ever seen. You want to talk about a non-committal swing, Allen? I don't know if you saw his swing on 9. I know that move all too well. He was obviously thinking, do not go left. And boy, did he not finish that swing, and he went mock right out of bounds. But really impressive for him to come back and win. Now, I know he didn't really have to do much. He basically just played steady golf on the back 9, and everybody else fell to him. But with the leaderboard being as packed and as loaded as it was with the best players in the world, very impressive win. Go ahead, buddy.
I was going to say, I think I had texted you when he went wild left. It was one of those. It might have been that shot. It was one shot he did, and I was like, oh, we might have a shot. But I will say I don't want to downplay what he did because at a time where he could have played it safe, he took a shot on 17 and put himself in a position to get the birdie, and that's ultimately what won it for him. Just to hold off and not fold after like shanking that, man. There have been some guys on Sundays that I've watched as a gambler where it's like you just know, like, oh, that's it, it's over. And he's got Rory breathing down his neck. He's got Scheffler, Hatton, Spieth for the most part of that round too. Like there was constant pressure, and it was like like horse racing. You just fought them off at the wire. So it was great to see. And I'm always happy for fresh faces to win in golf in general because it only helps your odds in the longer run overall. So it was great to see.
Yeah. As a golfer who, again, has not played at that level, but has played at a pretty high level, it takes a lot of mental gymnastics to recover from a move like that. Because I promise you, in his head, in the fairway, walking off that green, he was thinking, I just gave away the tournament. But kudos to him because he had to kind of recenter himself. And we talk about it. I talk about it all the time. When you're playing golf, when something bad goes happen, don't try to go make a birdie. Get a par. It's so important to just stop the slide. And I thought it was really cool that he made 3 straight pars and he was back in the lead because, everybody thinks when you make a mistake, you got to make up for it. In reality, what you need to do in that situation is right the ship. And he did that. So again, bully for him. Dude's got a ton of talent. Man, he hits it a long way for a little guy. This will be not the last time that he's in the winner's circle on the PGA Tour. We almost had a really good week. We had a good week with our plays. For my DFS, 9 out of 10 guys made the cut. I was very proud of that. I think that's the most I've had in a week yet. 6 of them were in the top 25. So very happy about that. On the betting side, Terrell Hatton plus 750 I had for a top 5 play. You had the great call of Keegan Bradley 11-1 to top 10. Again, we gave 22 bets again last week, so we were actually a little bit under. That's only plus 1850. But what I was most impressed with, Alan, was it was so close to being a great day. Obviously, we had Hatton to win, who was in it right there. Then my Molinari top 10 was so close, which I know some people thought that was out of left field, but I just felt like that was a good course for him. And we had a lot of guys up near the top. And that's all you can ask as a bettor is to be in a good position, because we know, just like in poker and other things, fantasy, DFS, if you're close, I know it doesn't make you feel any better, but it does mean that if you're consistently close with winners like what we had, you're going to have a really big week, kind of like what we did the week before.
You make it sound so great. Yeah, I mean, it could have been a total loss. It wasn't. At one point, I had Adam Scott and Connors and Thomas all in the top 10, and Scott and Connors were 100-1 odds. Just would have been nice to hit something like that.
Yeah.
And obviously they didn't go through. But, the stress of, again, Sunday stress. Here I am. Nobody's in contention, but I'm still stressing because Keegan Bradley just could not get to 6. I just needed 6, and he got the 5. And then I had to watch. I literally in a tournament where I didn't have anybody in contention, had to watch the second to last putt because I needed Hovland to bogey in order to get that. And
the backdoor cover, man. It's I
was in my car for 15 minutes, literally not wanting to go in the house. I was like, I'm stuck here. I'm watching. I don't want to miss anything. And so it was definitely I was happy. But I will admit, I had to go back and look. I could have sworn on my other sites, because I've done offshore sites before, where if a guy top 10s, even if he ties at 10, they just pay you straight out. FanDuel split it for me.
Really?
Yeah, I was pretty upset about it. And I had to go back. I honestly hadn't looked at their rules. I just assumed it was like everywhere else. But I guess
maybe because it was a traditional top 10, or a non-traditional, where literally those guys were tied for the 10th place. But that still seems a little janky.
It was,
because that is not the way it is on bookies.
Yeah, it was weird to me, because I've never had that happen on my offshore sites, but I know some of them do have different house rules. So I'm going to do DraftKings this week, but it's the same company, but I feel like it would be different. But I was a little mad about that. But once again, I put 200 in because I did first round bets at $5 a pop. And then I split up my $100 in between props and everything. And so I ultimately was in the red a little bit for golf, but I had a parlay for college basketball. So overall, I'm still up. And then we got the winners, and we still hit the props on the other end as well. So it's still a productive season. And that's ultimately what you want to do if you're betting golf or any sport for that. If you're using prop bets, especially in these bigger tournaments, stronger fields, prop bets are essentially your hedges. You pick guys to win. That's great. But you want to kind of hedge on the prop because you got a wider range of probability.
Absolutely. All right, so we've got the 5th major, as we call it this week.
I was told not to call it that.
Screw that. Who told you
that? the writer on Action Sports Network.
Or tell the writer on Action Sports Network that if the players call it the 5th major, I'm calling it the 5th major.
He was very upset when
I've been fortunate enough to play this course several times, Alan. Really cool track. Obviously, all the attention at the TPC Sawgrass goes to the 17th Island Green, which honestly, it's not that difficult of a hole. I'm not saying that in a tournament situation on Sunday, especially if, say, you need a birdie and they got that flag tucked back right and you got to go after it, that's a difficult shot. But overall, I mean, most of these guys are going to be hitting wedge, 9-iron at most into it. Now that tee shot on 18, on the other hand, oh my God, all you can see is water. It looks like the fairway is like the size of one lane on the highway. It really is. It's a scary freaking tee shot. But this is a Donald Ross golf course. Donald Ross, one of the greatest golf course designers in the history of the game. And this is his masterpiece. It really is. Be sure to check out my article on fantasy6pack.net, where I give 10 DFS plays, an official DFS lineup. I go through the preview, but we'll go over a little bit of that here. This is a course that kind of takes, I won't say it takes a driver out of the bag, but it takes distance away from the longest hitters, because it is not most important here to hit it a long way. It is most important to put yourself in the right position in the fairway for your second and approaches to the greens. This course will have thick rough. It always does. Firm and fast greens, a Bermuda. The weirdest, trickiest bunkers you will ever see, Alan, is unbelievable. You do not want any part of some of these traps. It's almost like an American version of some of the toughest Open Championship, like almost mini pot bunkers in some places, just the way where they are placed on the golf course can put you in a lot of trouble. And then undulation absolutely everywhere. Seriously, you get lies you just normally don't do in the States, especially in a place like Florida that is flat as can be. They've moved a lot of dirt on that place, but it's a fantastic golf course. If you ever have a chance to play it, I highly recommend you do it, and you can. It is open to the public. This tournament's been held here since 1982. It is kind of a weird event, Alan, because, yes, we have the who's who of all-time great golfers have all won here. Jack won here. Tiger won here. A lot of great players have won here. Sergio, Adam Scott, Fowler. But it's also a course that you will get some really funky winners. Hello, Siwoo Kim. One thing that this week we'll be missing is the defending champion, Cam Smith, who's obviously not going to be in the field because he's on the LIV tour. Did you see, though, that he said because he lives in the area, he might buy a ticket and go watch? That would be quite a deal.
Yeah, he's only like a few minutes away. I heard.
So I would love it if he shows up and is just drinking beer, because he is a character, man. That dude looks like a lot of the rednecks that I know in the South, particularly from Florida, with the hair, the mustache, and everything. All right, let's get through some quick course comps and stats to look at. Again, add any that you think you need to, Alan, and then we'll get into what everybody is here for, our DK and bets. Obviously, you need to look at, for course comps, other Donald Ross courses, particularly the shorter ones, but just all Donald Ross courses. They're all target golf. That's what they're all about. That is a staple of Donald Ross courses over and over again, is you got to put yourself in the right position. Harbortown, I think, is a very accurate course comp, maybe the most accurate. TPC River Highlands is another one. And then the one that I haven't seen a lot of places, but looking, I tell you, Alan, that I always look for correlation courses. Guys tend to do well at this course and another. And Wally Country Club, where they host the Sony Open, there is a lot of correlation, particularly in the last 5 to 6 years, between guys that have success there and then also have success at Sawgrass. Some of the stats, if you're doing your research, good drives gained, strokes gained off the tee, put a star, asterisk, whatever you want to call it, that needs to be really paid attention to. Probably the most important thing. Strokes gained approach, bogey avoidance, strokes gained around the greens, par 4 scoring for 450 to 500 yard par 4s, par 5 scoring in general, which I know that's a big one for you, especially on difficult golf courses. I think that's huge here because you can get at these par 5s. Strokes gained tee to green on die courses, which, depending on what site you use, I use Fantasy National. You can do that. That's a great trick there. And then strokes gained putting Bermuda. Do you have anything you want to add to that before I get into the winter trends? I know you like these trends that I normally get from Ron Sillis on Twitter.
2 complaints. One, FanDuel still had live golfers up. That's why I sent you that text.
I was wondering about what you were doing. I was like, wait a minute, how did I not hear this?
They still had odds on them, which makes me mad.
Bets.
Yeah, like I'm glad I didn't play it, because when I was looking at my data, I was like, but they're not showing up. And then I read a little bit more on it. Anyway, FanDuel's in my doghouse right now.
Yeah.
But I got a
your shit
parlay.
list.
I got a parlay waiting. I just need to wait. And then my DraftKings app isn't working, so I'm just gonna need you to tell me the odds. I emphasized course history this week because it's been really tough for newcomers. Now you have some outliers like Siwoo Kim, I think it was like his second time playing when he won or something like that. So it's a possibility, and I did take that into consideration. But by and large, folks generally take 3 to 4 plus tries before they figure out their comfort zone on this course. But I treated this as a potential shootout course this tournament. Like, I'm looking for scores. And I went back through the last like 4 or 5 years of history.
Why don't we define that? Because what are you saying when scoring? Because when I think of a scoring track, I think 20 under or more. You're not talking about that kind of scoring, right?
I'm thinking, yeah. I'm thinking
Ooh,
like 15
really?
to 20. Yeah, I think
guys under.
I went for guys who average a lot of birdies and who are going to score. Like 3-putt avoidance was a big key stat for
Very
me.
tricky greens.
Just because worst case scenario, I don't want you giving back the birdies and potential eagles. So that was a key stat for me, more so this go around than normal. But I emphasize par 4, par 5 scoring. The par 3 correlations over the last like 5 years seem to be more or less a crapshoot. Like Rory didn't hit well on par 3s. Justin Thomas didn't hit well on par 3s. Cam didn't hit well on par 3s, but they all won the tournaments. I did check that. And honestly,
and I'm going to tell you, Alan, that's because the par 3s are not really ones you want to get aggressive with, because you can make big numbers if you do.
That's what I figured too. And looking back at the stats of the winners, Rory is the one that looked the best overall. Like, it made sense looking at his stats. But the only thing that really made sense for JT's win was that he did the 3-putt avoidance. Like, he was a decent putter. But Cam didn't. Approach shot stood out for him.
Remember, though, I meant to mention this in the preview. Last year's was an absolute outlier, crazy weather. Do not really look into any information from last year, because it's just one.
Yeah, I was actually about to say that I did emphasize last year, but I just wanted to.
No. Yeah, you should always check. But I want to make sure people knew that last year was funky.
Yeah. So other than that, I think we're along the same lines. And then obviously, again, tiebreaker, ball striking.
Yep.
Because that's always important.
Tee to green to me is the big stat here, because again, that is, to me, the strokes gained number that encompasses the most of this golf course, because strokes gained off the tee, a lot of it is about distance and not just accuracy. And strokes gained tee to green is more about, okay, did you hit a good drive in the fairway for the most part, and where did you go to the green from that point? And again, on this course, it's way more important to be, say, in the right side of the fairway, 80 yards back into a par 4, than somebody that's 80 yards further, say, in the left rough where they have a bad angle and it's going to be a difficult shot coming out of the rough. One other thing I want to mention before I get in these winter trends: this course is kind of like Murphy's Law. I texted you that the other day. Of the top 11 golfers at this event on DK and pricing, only 2 of them have made the cut in at least 4 straight Players Championship. Overall, it's just over 60% of the top 11 guys on DK have made the cut at this event. So this is one of those that, it's wild, man. Like, there's not really a individual player or type of player that you can look at and go, this guy's going to find success there. And if you look at the past winners, if you look at just the variation of players' results, I mean, somebody like, say, Jason Day, Adam Scott, both have good records at this course. Keegan Bradley, but they also have like several missed cuts in a row. Keegan Bradley has made 7 straight cuts at this event. Before that, he missed 3 straight cuts. So, I mean, it's just one of those courses that's really difficult. Okay, winter trends. 37, and this is to get to your point, these first 2, what you're talking about. 37 of the last 38 winners played in at least one previous players. Rookies are tough here. 24 of the last 24 winners made the cut in the previous start before the win. So that was a big one for me when looking at my bets to win or who I was considering. 15 of the last 15 winners finished 23rd or better in a previous players, not necessarily the year before, but they have had success there. 17 of the last 19 winners ranked in the top 45 of the official world golf ranking. That is why, again, for my bets to win, most of them are not, the highest odds or lowest odds, however you want to say it. 16 of the last 18 winners ranked in the top 35 on PGA Tour and strokes gain approach in the year leading up to their win. So maybe strokes gain's approach needs to be paid attention to just as much as strokes gain off the tee, which Allen was getting into. 10 of the last 11 winners finished 22nd or better in the previous start before their win. So they did need to do well the year before. 10 of the last 12 winners played in at least 5 previous players events. Again, to Allen's point, 10 of the last 12 winners had a top 5 win or finish, in the calendar year before the win. And now that this event has been moved up, and it's been several years of this, that is a lot more important than it used to be. This event used to be in May. And at that point, we had already had, 4 months of tournaments. The last few years, this is like the 9th or 10th event on the schedule. So they need to have some kind of good form for the season, obviously, with the top 5 finish. And then 9 of the last 11 winners ranked in the top 45 on the PGA Tour and strokes gained around the green in the year leading up to their win. Again, if you miss greens here between the bunkers, the undulation, firm and fast greens, you have to scramble. And that is something that we have seen fairly consistently in these winners, as they are typically good around the greens. Anything you want to add to that before we get into the DFS plays?
Just pretty much the same thing I said last week. There's no shame if you're a little off this week, because it's a tough course. There obviously have been some good showings, but again, it's not a easy to predict tournament. Just like last week, look who won. And if you hit that, that's great. But if not, again, it's just not gonna be that easy as we continue to have these fields where they're really, really tough. So don't stress it, is what I'm saying. Don't stress it.
I completely agree there. Okay. DraftKings. And again, we'll kind of scoot through these because if you want to check out more information on it, you can go read my article on fantasy6pack.net. JT is in my lineup, 9,400. I think that he is the best golfer out of the top 11 for this week. He's made the cut in 4 straight. His worst finish is 35th, which is saying something at a venue like this, which, again, it's very random. Some of the best players in the world, there'll be 3 or 4 of the best players in the world in this field that miss the cut. It always happens. Allen made a very good point when I texted him that JT is also, spoiler, one of my picks to win. He said he's fading him until he starts putting back, which is a very valid point.
I can't do it, man.
But this is the course that if he has one of those JT vintage ball striking rounds and he just doesn't 3-putt, to your point, you know what I mean? He is able to scramble. This could be a week, actually, when he doesn't even have to putt that great and could win. All right, he's not in my official lineup on there, but is one of the 10 picks. Max Homa, 9,900. Again, I said it last week. I think he's the safest play other than Rahm right now and Scheffler on DK, and he's considerably cheaper. The next guy in my lineup, Victor Hovland, 8,900. We talk about it all the time. He's the ball striker. I mean, that's what he plays. He plays difficult courses really well. My one fear for Hovland, and I warn people of this, he is not great around the greens, particularly with his chipping and scrambling. So if he doesn't have a great ball striking round, I would not be surprised if he missed the cut. I know that's not what people want to hear, but that's just the way it is.
Real quick, you couldn't tell him nothing the 3rd round though. That dude was holing out everywhere.
That is very fair.
It was pissing me off too.
He's actually been putting good, which is one of the main reasons that I had him in my DK pick, especially at his price at 8,900. I had to go with our boy, that Willie Zalatoris. He is in my lineup, 8,800. He has became the guy, Alan. The minute I see a difficult golf course, I go, okay, I am 1,000% going with Will Zalatoris. Always, because he is just, I don't want to say automatic, but he's damn near automatic. Arguably the best ball striker on tour. So definitely give me some Willie Z. Shane Lowry, again, not my official lineup, but one of my 10 picks, 8,200. Would not be surprised if he is really in contention here. Jason Day at 8,000 is in the lineup. Again, great track record here. What I really like about Day, and I'll get that a little bit more when we get to our bets, but his season so far is eerily similar to the season that he won here and the season that he finished sixth with his numbers, his finishes. So I really like that play. Your boy Keegan Bradley, 7,500. I know he's going to be high owned. I don't care. Arguably the best record here of any golfer. Seriously. I mean, he's had a great track record here. He's made the cut 7 straight times, which I know a lot of people would argue at this venue that could be a bad thing because he's due to miss a cut.
Yeah.
But Keegan's playing so good. And again, ball striker course, ultimate ball striker. Harris English, 7,000. This is a flyer pick for me. He has missed the cut all 3 times in the last 5 years he's played in this event. But I like a lot of what I see out of Harris. His putter right now is on freaking fire. Harris has the ability to ball strike well, which he's been doing as well. But he's not in my lineup, but he was a pick for consideration. Seamus Power, 7,400. He is in my lineup. He's my cheapest play this week that's in my actual lineup on the Fantasy Six-Pack article. I expect him to do very well here. He's done well on both of his trips here. He plays difficult courses really well. He puts good on Bermuda greens. I love Power at 7,400. And then if you want to go really cheap, say you want to have Rahm or Scheffler or whoever, Doug Gim, 6,100.
Yeah.
Has a great track record at this course, as well as you'll ever see for a guy in this price range. I did not put him in my actual lineup, but I did list him as one of my 10 plays. Alan, you got anybody for DFS purposes that I didn't mention that you want to talk about?
Unfortunately, due to technical difficulties with my app, I don't, because I can't see anything.
I forgot.
I know it's that's why I gave you the disclaimer before, and people probably looking at me like, why does he keep looking down? Because I keep trying to get it to work, but it's not working. So, but
maybe
no,
DK's on your shit list too. You're just gonna have to find out.
I know, man. I'm gonna have to go back to my offshores, man. But I would say it's if you're in a flux and you're looking for tiebreakers with the lower statistical people, lower value people, again, check ball striking stats and check approach shots. Because even if your putter's terrible, because JT's putter wasn't that great the year he won, but his around the green was so phenomenal that it was easy for him to win. Like every putt was within 5 feet. So if you can find a guy,
I'm surprised Spieth hasn't had more success here. Is this course to me should be a Spieth course, and he just hasn't had the track record I expect. But that's who I immediately think of as you saw him chipping in from freaking everywhere again last weekend.
Yeah, that's what he does, which is wow.
He's unbelievable. All right, real quickly before we get to the bet thing, since you can't get the DK up, I want to ask you. There's some guys that I highlighted that are all ball strikers under 7K. Which of these guys do you like better? Joel Damon, 6,800. Emilio Grillo. Lost you for a second. Emilio Grillo, 6,800.
That's my fault.
Lanto Griffin, 6,500. Or my boy Doug Gim, who already gave it 6,100. Which of those guys would you like the best under 7K?
I'm all over the place. Let's see. Typically, I would go with
Lanto.
Lanto, but give me Damon. I like Damon, man.
I do too.
He's got a good temperament, so even if he
got a good record here too.
Yeah, and if he doesn't do well, like he's not a guy, he's a guy you can depend on to finish rounds and keep his head in the moment. We don't want too many people getting frustrated. So yeah, I'll go with Damon there. Although, like you had pointed out before, Grillo is one of my guys, man. I do love him for top 20 plays a lot of times. He's a steady golfer and he's also streaky. And when he's streaky, he's really good. But let me go with Damon right now.
All right. Let's get on to what everybody wants to hear. Our bets for this week. To win, I've got JT 20-1.
You would.
Again, I just and I
You
know it
would.
didn't look good last week when he did not play. He had the great
Okay.
round, and he did not play well. He's not putting well.
No,
But
you're just doing this. You're doing this stuff to spite me. That's what it is.
It's honestly guts. And again, there's a history of guys winning here twice. I like JT at 20-1. Again, JT's one of those guys at 20-1. Once he gets in that 20 and up, I have a hard time staying away from him. Your boy Xander 25-1. This is a course that he should have a better record at. He is not, but I'm going with him at 25-1. Will Zalatoris 35-1. Again, there is not a course in the world that I'm not going to take him, especially at 30-1, that is considered a difficult ball striking golf course. And then I'll get into long shots after you get over your bets, but I got Shane Lowry and Keegan both at 50-1, both guys that it would not surprise me if they won the event. As well as Keegan's playing compared to Lowry, it's actually Keegan that it would surprise me more if he won, because he hasn't historically won a lot. Lowry, on the other hand, he just seems to win every other year at these big venues. It's been a while since his major championship. It would not shock me at all. He's got a great record at a lot of the venues that I mentioned as course comps. Who do you got before? I got like some 90-1s and more, but in the lower range.
So I'm gonna see your Justin Thomas and
Xander
Schauffele troll with. I got Max Homa and Jason Day in my lineup.
You son of a bitch! You sure did.
It's pretty funny. Homa's my top dog this week at 22-1. Not much of a track record here, but just playing really good golf. And has
this course.
Yeah, and has all the statistical backing to think he'll do good. I wedged Tony Finau in there as well at 28-1 and Jason Day at 28-1, which is a little more top heavy than I would like for this tournament. But I think, again, Finau statistically.
What did we talk about though, Alan? Right, like that it has been 35th or better in the official world ranking 12 in the last 16. So to me, you're onto the right track there.
Yeah, and Jason Day's been playing phenomenal lately, and the main thing about him is his sand saves and putting has been on point. And it's one of those things that if you don't watch the tournaments, you probably wouldn't pay attention to, because he's not in contention, but he's literally trending in all the right directions. A place he's won before, looks to be healthy and playing with a little bit of swag, so I like it. Finau, steady, and again, he's always kind of had this thing where he's in contention, but he hasn't been able to win as much as he should.
But he kind of changed that last year, right?
Yeah,
I think that's now something that we have to move on. I wish he'd win a bigger event, because again, they're both smaller events. To your point, something I think that is a very smart point you bring up all the time is there's guys that can win a regular PGA Tour event and guys that win big events. But Finau has all the talent. I just think it's so huge he got those 2 wins last year.
We agree on Zalatoris. It's weird because I got Cameron Young on my list, and I'm gonna be sick if he wins somehow because he has been playing well. But I still like to keep it 6 solid picks and then long shots. So I'm not gonna put Cameron Young. I'm gonna put Will Zalatoris.
We'll put him as an honorable mention.
But I will keep him in mind and watch the tournament just in case, because he's at 40-1. But Keegan Bradley, I feel like this is it's becoming an obsession at this point. I think Keegan Bradley every week for a prop or to win or something, but he's playing good golf and
playing great golf.
And despite our putting issues last week, he still got the top 10 for me. And I think this venue is probably the best venue for his style of play. And he's not afraid, which I'm loving from what I see. And so I like him there. And then my long shots are very, very long. Actually, I missed one. Sahith Theegala will be in my picks at 75-1, an actual straight up pick, not even counting him as a long shot. And I've got Theegala to win top 10 and top 5 props because I'm just that hype on him this week.
I'm gonna have to relook my betting board. Can you explain just a little bit why you're so on him?
Because I feel like if I'm expecting to need birdies and people to score, I feel like he's going to be able to do that at this venue. I'm a little excited to see it happen at 75-1. And I'm confident that if he doesn't win, that he'll still somehow find his way charging up the board at some point. I don't think the elements are going to come into play as much this.
That's what the
weekend.
weather report is. It's supposed to be mild.
Yeah, and so I think that's going to favor. I think that works in his favor for contention as well. So I really like him this week, and again, I'm investing in him this week on all levels. So we'll see how it goes. I'm not gonna dock him. I'm only docking JT because his putting was just that bad. But as you said, if there was a guy that I would expect to turn it around from 1 week,
I didn't know his numbers tee to green. Now looking at it, gained 8 strokes on the field at the Farmers, 10 at Genesis, 2 last week at the Arnold Palmer. And he's putting great. Gained 4 strokes on the green, 2 of the last 3 weeks, both of those on Bermuda greens.
Yeah, I've been watching him because there wasn't a lot of Bermuda green data on him coming into the season. So I'm like, he's in the Florida swing as far as the Bermuda green goes. They're pretty much the same. So that's kind of why I play Billy Horschel a lot of times on the Florida swing, because it's just something that he's comfortable with. Daniel Berger is another guy that if he was playing, he would probably be somewhere on my list.
I said in the article, he would be all over mine. Great track record here.
So I just needed a couple rounds, and I was like, okay, it seems like he's not having any trouble. So 75-1, he'll be an outright unit play of at least $10 by me. Long shots typically only get $5. That would be Sepp Straka is my.
I got him 200-1.
Yeah, 200-1.
Mine too.
And he's in my top 20 prop at plus 550 as well. And
I
then
like that.
Taylor Montgomery, 130-1. He's in my top 20 at 4-1. And then God, I'm gonna mess his name up. And I just looked at Tom Hoge. Did I say it right? Hoge?
Yeah, you said it for what the Google.
I Googled it because I want to say Hogue, but Tom Hoge, 90-1. As a long shot, I don't really think he can win. But I like what I see out of here. Yeah, I was gonna say out of the track record, and then just in general his ability to score at 90-1. I was like, I'll take a flyer on him. Would not be shocked to see him crack a top 10, but because I was so invested in Tigala, I just was like, I'm not going to overdo it. I got March Madness coming up. I can't put all my bankroll into this tournament.
All right, so that all your long shots?
Yeah, those are my long shots.
All right. I had Straka 200-1, Harris English 90-1. Again, that is just a gut feeling. Seamus Power 110-1. I expect Seamus to have a good week. And then I have one other really long shot, Taylor Pendrith 250-1. And this is purely off the fact that he finished T13 last year in his first trip there. And we talked about how difficult this course is for your first time there. He's somebody that can keep it in the fairway. He's got a great short game. For a long shot, I like it. All right, moving on to the props. Give me for top 5 right off the bat, Jason Day, 6-1, 4 straight top 10s, 2 top 6s in this event. And again, going back, I went and looked, in both of those years, he had almost identical run-ups to this course, where he had at least 4 top 10s in the 6 events going into it. Both of those years, the only 2 years that he did that, again, he ended up with the top 6s in both those years. Salvatores plus 650, finished no worse than 26 in his 2 visits to Sawgrass. His putter has let him down really badly in his last 2 trips here, but that is why I am very pumped about him. He's consistently gained strokes on the green this season. If he does that this week, I truly believe he'll be in contention. Keegan Bradley, 10-1, again, made the cut 7 straight times, finishing inside the top 16 in 3 of his last 4 PGA events. Fowler, 12-1, finished no worse than 34 first in his last 4 PGA starts. He has a win and a runner-up in this event. Granted, it was a long time ago, but as I said last week at the Arnie, I think you really need to look more at his record in the mid-2010s than you do the last 3-4 years, because he just fell off the planet for a few years. And then another long shot, JT Poston, He has a pair of T22 finishes at this event in his last 3 trips there. He puts by far the best on Bermuda greens. It's not even close. And has 3 finishes at 21st or better this season. He's gaining nearly 2 strokes tee to green this year on the field. Do you have any top 5 plays?
Just Tigala.
Okay.
I mean, at 14-1, I'm fully committed. I don't want people to think I'm crazy, but I'm crazy.
I like it. No, I mean, I think I'm gonna go down on 2 of my top 5s. I think it like this. If you pick somebody to win, you need to at least have a few of them to top 5 because you're going to be pissed as hell if say they're a 50 to 100 to 1 play and they almost win the event and you don't even get the money that you would by doing a top 5 play. All right, top 10, Harris English plus 750. Again, I know he's got a terrible track record here, but I love what I've seen, particularly at 2 tough venues at Genesis and Arnie's tourney. I think it's good odds for a guy who's just putting out of his mind. He's gained 7 shots or more on the greens in 2 of his last 3 events. And again, those are Bermuda greens, so that's a good sign. Adam Scott plus 750, former winner of this bunch, has as much success as anyone in the field. Scott's still one of the best ball strikers on tour, and he's been putting great this season. Hadwin 10-1, has 2 top 30 finishes his last 2 trips here, including a top 10 last year. He plays difficult courses really well, and he has the ability to be great tee to green. Davis Riley 12-1, plays difficult courses well. He's coming off back-to-back good finishes at tough venues in the Honda and Arnie's tournament, which were the last 2 times he teed it up. He's consistently good tee to green and putted great on similar greens last week at Bay Hill, gained over 5 strokes on the field. And then my last top 10 play, Joel Damon, who we talked about, 14-1 to top 10. He plays difficult courses well, puts the best on Bermuda greens by a wide margin, which unfortunately for him, he still is losing strokes, but it's like 0.2 strokes compared to where he's almost losing a stroke in other greens to the field. And he is just one of the better players around the greens on the tour, which we've talked about. It's very important as his venue. And in his 3 trips here, he has 2 good finishes, a T12 and a T30. You got Tigala, you said the top 10 as well. You got any other?
Yeah, he's at 6-1. No, but I will say keep an eye on Webb Simpson because his odds are really ridiculous, but it's because he's been hurt, I think. Yeah. But it's one of those things where like him and Hideki are guys that I would keep an eye on because once they start trending back into the right direction, like Webb is getting like silly odds right now, but it's because he's on the mend. But you could get good value on him in the top 10 if you're confident that he's playing better. I really gave it some strong consideration just as a Hail Mary play because I'm pretty sure he's getting close to like 10-1 on the top 10, and he's one of the top 50 golfers in the world if he's healthy easily. So I think that's good value. But just keep
a difficult course as well too.
Yeah, and so keep an eye on those types of guys. And again, not recommending that you do it right now, but he's trending in the right direction based on his last round of golf. It looks a little bit better. If he starts to get healthy, you want to catch him before he gets back down to the 30-1 range.
Absolutely. All right, top 20. Keegan plus 210, I think that is too high. DraftKings is not giving a lot of love for top 20s. They have figured it out.
They have not. Yeah, I've noticed that
like
too.
Minuses are very low pluses, but I do like Keegan at plus 210. A guy you mentioned, Tom Hoagie. How do you say it? Hoge? I'm country boy. Come on.
No, I know, but I'm just laughing because even when I looked it up online and they were pronouncing it, like I went to 3 different sites and 3 different sites pronounced it a different way. And the guys on TV even said it a different way. I'm like, Jesus.
Well, that makes you feel a little better. But I do like him at 3-1. Francisco Molinari, who broke my heart last week by bogey in 18, preventing him from a top 10 and 18-1, but plus 450 to top 20. He has an up and down record here, but he's starting to ball strike it. And when he's ball striking, man, he's really good on these tough venues. Your boy Emilio Grillo, plus 650 to top 20. He's missed the cut his last 2 years, but the 3 previous, a T26, T35, T11. So he's had success on this venue. And then again, Doug Gim, plus 850, T6 and T29 the last 2 years here. I mean, he had a great chance to win the tournament last year. And some guys just have courses that they play well. This appears to be one. You don't see very many guys. And I mean, I went through everybody on there. The only other person that I saw with 2 29th or lower finishes, that's their only 2 starts here, Will Zalatoris. So to be getting plus 850 for a top 20 for Doug Gim, give me that all day. You got any top 20 plays you want to highlight?
Gim, I think is a good attempt. Sepp Straka plus 550, and
I like that.
And Taylor Montgomery at 4-1. But I'm really higher on Sepp Straka, and allocating my money this week is going to be a little tricky because there are certain guys that I want to put a little bit more on because I think I can get some better value on it. Day being one, and Keegan Bradley.
All right. Anything else you want to add? Because we made it through the players.
No, just if you're into baseball, I'll put out some futures for the American League. I will be doing an article on the National League. If you're not a reader, I'll be making a video of the article as well. Which I mean, I'm not a reader myself, so I get it. And then
how much of a Braves homer are you going to be for the NL one?
I'm not that big of a Braves. I'm a very realistic Braves fan.
Kind of like I'm a very realistic Falcons and Hawks fan, right? You're like,
pretty much, yeah,
no.
Pretty much. But yeah, that was, and obviously there when March Madness Selection Sunday is coming up, I will post an article on the region for that as well.
Listen to this man when it comes to March Madness. He is way too humble when it comes to it. Dude has killed it the 5 years that I have known him doing the tournament. He's very good at college basketball. If he puts out an article, if he sends a tweet, pay attention to it. Dude knows college basketball. I know you won't say that. I will.
Yeah. But just ride the wave, man, with college basketball. Same with golf. Shoot, we get good golfer, ride the Keegan Bradley wave.
All right. So one more time before we get out of here, be sure to sign up to become an All-Access member of Fantasy Six Pack by going to fantasysixpack.net/plans. You'll get access to us on our Discord, access to award-winning rankings, tools, and more. Join today by using the promo code F6PMLB for 15% off. And we'd also really appreciate it if you would follow our Twitter handle, something that I have not done a good job of plugging. Mine is at Keith Flemming. If you're watching the video, it is underneath my face. And Alan's is as well, which is at Actively Lazy 85. So we'd appreciate a follow there. And we will be back next week. I'm not going to lie, I'm blanked. I actually don't know what event is next week. I know that it will not be an elevated event, and therefore it's a chance to really win some money because it's going to be wild. I can promise you with 4 elevated events in 5 weeks, there will be a lot of top players saying, I'm going to skip next week, especially with Augusta right around the corner. So be sure to do that. And maybe what we'll take next week, Alan, is we'll spend 5 minutes doing some Masters futures because I think you can get a lot better odds now than right before the event gets going. But
I might skip next week too because of March Madness.
We'll have to talk about that.
I know.
I don't think you want me going solo for 50 minutes. But for Keith Flemming, my man Alan, aka Actively Lazy 85 on Twitter, this has been the 2 Off the Tee Show on the Fantasy Six Pack YouTube channel. Hope you guys have a big week, win a lot of money. We'll see you soon. Peace.